Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Monday, June 9th, 2025. It's 6/9, dude. You know how it is. It's why the episode's so late today, all right? That's why I'm coming at you with maybe my first ever nightcast. I'm trying to remember. We had the Stone Sode, which, everyone knows it's classic. I don't know. I think it's funny to talk about a podcast that no one listens to like it's the fucking what's like it's SNL or something. Like, do you remember in 1973 when fucking you know what I mean? Billy Backwoods came on and sang that song and the whole crowd went crazy. I think it's funny to talk about just a quite frankly one of the more racist conspiracy oriented podcasts. Like it's a classic thing that everyone has seen. But no, it's not why I'm coming at you late. All right. Hey, I hate to break everyone's heart here. I know you can tell by my voice I'm someone who gets late a lot. But no, I wasn't 69ing all day. Although I wish I was. And whatever I have in my mouth, a penis, a vagina, a penis that's been turned into a pseudo vagina, a clitoris that's been extended using testosterone and surgery into a penis. Whatever it is, I wish I could have had it, but I didn't. You know what I was doing today? I was helping my grandpa with yard work. And, I live out in the country, and I've said that before. And so I feel like a lot of people here, like, oh, I was helping him with yard work. And it's like, what are you doing? Wrangling sheep, wrangling cows? No, my grandpa lives one of the most suburban lives imaginable. Like, truly a suburban, and a good one too, right? Not like a weird suburban life where everyone's like, they're swingers or whatever, and like kids are overdosing on like Benadryl and sucking each other off and shit. Although I'm sure that's happening in his neighborhood. He lives in a very rich neighborhood, and for some reason, the most like degenerate activities happen in those neighborhoods. And what's weirder about the degenerate activities is they happen behind closed doors, right? I feel like that's the real difference between poor people and rich people. At least, it's not the biggest cultural difference, right? Is that poor people really are just out in the open with it. And maybe because it's, you have nothing to lose. It's like, yeah, dude, I fucking, you know what I mean? If you're a chick living in the hood, you're like, yeah, I got a train right on me. So what? It's like, it's not like I was going to get a job at Wells Fargo or whatever if I didn't get that train right on me. I wasn't going to become the CEO of BlackRock, right? I wasn't going to get into Yale if I didn't suck 8 big black cocks in a row. So, but I guess that makes sense. But for some reason, suburban people, they just love keeping it in the dark, man. It's just really, really in the dark. And especially like the type of suburban, they are. They're not like, this isn't like an Italian suburb or like Bosnians or Albanians or one of like the trash white people. The white people that are basically black. You. These are like German people, British people, like their ancestors probably owned a couple. These are like house slave type of people. You know what I mean? Like their ancestors definitely had a few here and there. Some of them did work their way up to that level, but this is like, old money. Your family, they had a couple slaves, and they didn't really free them after the end of the Civil War. They like technically freed them on paper, but they didn't. You know what I mean? They took the fucking chain collar off their neck, but they still kept them in the house. That's the type of people these are. But I was helping him with yard work, and he lives in the fucking suburbs, obviously. And these are, very, very nice suburbs. And so he wants to be a perfectionist, right? And that's when something hit me when I was there. I was like, dude, the ideals of like suburban perfectionism just don't appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. And I realized this when we did our second task of the day. First task of the day is we're putting up a shade on the back porch. Like I said, these are German whites. These aren't like Italian whites or fucking, God forbid, Greeks or the Spanish or even worse, the Portuguese. These are like German, very pale skin. Like they need milk to survive. This is the type of white we're talking about here. Like if milk didn't exist, neither would they. This is how white these people are. And so obviously I get it. We got to put the shade up on the porch, make sure the fucking pure white skin, the best skin, doesn't get burnt and God forbid look black. And or even worse, Mexican. And so we put up that shade, and then after that we were putting like this post in the ground, like one of those hook posts. You guys know what I mean? Like the thing you hang like a bird feeder off or whatever, but this was for flowers, and we were putting one of those in the ground. But before we did that, we had to move a bird bath, right? And at first they were like, all right, we're just gonna like turn the bird bath and move it over a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what difference that makes, but sure, let's do it. And then we spent no less than 15 minutes moving this bird bath around just to put it not only in the exact same place, not only in the exact same place in the fucking gravel where it was already at, in the exact same fucking position, dude. And I was like, I can't I can't live in the suburbs, dude. I will live in the crime-ridden fucking inner cities of America that are quickly developing. Like as hard as these developers might try to build these fucking Barbie house condos, in Kansas City, Kansas, or in fucking Cincinnati or wherever the fuck they're building them, it's not gonna work, dude. I don't care. You're gonna have to turn these things into real compounds, which is what they're trying to do, right? Like a lot of these. I went to Los Angeles last year. I was gonna say recently. It was last year. To some people, I'm young enough to where last year is a pretty decently far place away. When you get to like my grandpa's age, like he's 70, he's over 75, dude. Last year is like that's the same as last week to me. The last week is probably further to me from me than last year is to him, if that makes sense. But I went there, and a lot of the apartments, especially in the area we were in, we were like, I think on the border of like Koreatown and like some gentrified Mexican neighborhood. That's where we were at. And a lot of like these developments you see, like these condos, these apartments, what they do is they put like a gym and a Whole Foods, like brand. It's not like a. Some apartments have like a gym built in, and it's just like the apartment gym. These are like Planet Fitness, Genesis Health, whatever. I'm sure Planet Fit. It's not Planet Fitness. It's like Equinox or some fancy shit like that. So they are, making these compounds, right? Like that's how you gentrify now. Every city in America is so crime ridden because I don't know, the police don't do their jobs. Right? The police really only do their jobs in the suburbs. And even then, it's like short of someone getting, short of a black person or like a really just a not white person killing one, the police will do the job then, right? If it's in the suburbs. But if it's like two whites kill each other, they're like, this is family business. All right. We gotta let these two, sort this thing out. But, these cities are becoming so crime ridden because the police won't do their job for some reason, right? I don't know. Maybe something happened recently within the past 5-6 years that inclined the police maybe to not do their jobs. Maybe something is currently happening that makes law enforcement not want to do their job, but they just don't do their job anymore. And so they're making these compounds. But sometimes you see it and you're like, dude, and you see like a gentrified neighborhood and you see just like the cookie cutter apartment and you're like, not going to work, man. I'm telling you, you got to make the compound. Dude, these cities, people are getting killed left, right, and center. I'm pretty sure the murder rate, I don't know, it's probably not up, but it's probably just pure fear mongering, which does get us in today's episode. Goddamn. Like I said, I'm a working man. All right, you guys know what I had to do today? I had to spread mulch and pick up leaves. All right. I had to move a bird bath and then put it in the exact same place. It's not physically tiring, but goddamn if it isn't mentally tiring, dude. It's the most menial work of all time, right? And that's why I don't like suburban perfectionism, right? Because it's like you cut the shrub, right? And you pick up all the leaves from the shrub and you pick up each individual fucking leaf out of the mulch. And what do you get from it? The fucking bush looks better. Who cares about unless you're making a fucking hedge maze, unless you're making the hedge maze from The Shining, or like if you've ever seen What We Do in the Shadows, like Laszlo's vagina bushes, unless you're doing that, let the fucking bush grow how it's gonna grow, all right? I don't give a shit how the fucking bush looks. That's why I don't like suburban perfection. Like country perfectionism is like completely different. It's like function over form. Whereas everything in the suburbs, and if you've ever heard any of like these stories about how these houses in the suburbs are made, you understand this. It's form over function literally every time, dude. Like my uncle lives in an incredibly rich like stupid fucking rich I'm pretty sure he's neighbors with Joe Rogan. I can say that. I don't, maybe it's he's not neighbors with Joe Rogan. That's not the thing I wanted. He lives in Austin, like this incredibly rich neighborhood in Austin. And this fucking house just, I mean, I'm talking multi-million dollar houses, and these things are huge. This guy has a fucking infinity pool right in his backyard. My uncle does in Austin. Yeah, did I tell you he lives in Austin? Should I just give you his fucking address? But no, that's where he lives. And this house exploded. And I'm not talking, this wasn't like the stove turned on a little harsher than usual, or the fucking backyard grill had like a propane leak. This entire house exploded. And the fucking crazy part about it is, this guy walks into the house like an inspector or something, like they're building the house, and I don't know what the fuck he did, but this house, I mean, shattered into a million pieces. Like the person that lives It's probably not even that close. It's probably like 30 yards or something from this other house. They had to move out. Like the fire marshal, the city came in and told these people to move out. And if you look at a lot of these houses in the suburbs, like if you look at their actual structure and their wiring and shit, especially I don't know if unions build houses, but if they do, right, especially in like a non-union state, let's just say in fucking Texas, like Kansas where I live, shit like that, these houses are built by the fuck. These people have no idea how to. They know how to build a house to look like a house, if that makes it. They don't know how to build a house to like make it an actual house, dude. And this thing fucking exploded into like just shattered, dude, like a grenade. And the craziest fucking thing is the guy, the guy who was like there he's fine. He fully lived, dude. This house, and this just proves. I think Al Qaeda and ISIS and all those guys are just pussies, dude. Because if this guy can survive an entire fucking house exploding, then how the fuck can't you survive a suicide vest? Hey, that's all I'm saying. But that is another segue into today's episode, which is Doomsday cults. Is Al Qaeda a Doomsday cult? I feel like maybe kinda, right? Like their whole thing is if we don't fight the West, then they're gonna take us over, and that's not their thing. Let's be honest here. Their thing is this guy from the CIA gave us $5 billion to just run amok in Afghanistan so that they have a reason to go in Afghanistan and get opium and lithium ion. Doomsday cults. All right, let's talk about the real shit, not that CIA funded Manson family bullshit. We're going to be talking about the real shit today. All right, not Ted Kaczynski and his fucking MK ultra'd up ass. We're talking about legitimate schizos running free, running wild, preaching to everybody, talking their shit, and we're going to get to understand their psychology a little bit, because that's the thing I was wondering. And the thing that inspired me to do this episode is I watched a documentary about the Heaven's Gate cult. And what pissed me off about what pissed me off so much about it, it wasn't like that some crazy guy made 40 people kill themselves. That happens, that's constant, right? That's what the US military is, right? Like one crazy guy is like, we need to go to war with Ukraine. We need to go into Ukraine right now. And then a million Ukrainian teenagers die. A million Ukrainian boys that are like fucking 17 years old get blown up by drones, right? I'm not talking like that's not why I care about it, right? The reason I got mad at the Heaven's Gate cult, the reason it pissed me off so much, especially this documentary, is because boomers are the most self-absorbed people in the history of our planet. I don't think there's ever been a single one that's more it's legitimately not all of them, right? Especially the religious boomers, like a religious boomer, it depends on the religion, but I'm talking like a devout Baptist or Methodist or Catholic or some shit like that. Like that's not a super self-absorbed person, but like the boomers that abandoned religion and made the entire country basically abandon religion, made their kids abandon religion, are the most self-absorbed people on earth. And the reason I say this is because in the beginning of this documentary, I think it was maybe episode 1 or 2, it was only 5 episodes. There's not a whole ton to pick from. Really, it's a fucking multiple choice question here. But they said that during tumultuous times is when these cults form. And the cult formed in the 70s, right? I think like the 1975 is when it formed, and then 1996 or 97, I can't remember, is when they all killed themselves. And I don't know if you guys know what was happening in America during 1975, but it was not tumultuous in any way, shape, or form. Dude, like right now there are people that are like lighting cops on fire so that illegal immigrants don't go to court. Like that's happening right now in America. We haven't had a single suicide cult in the past fucking 10 years, dude. And I'm thinking this just completely disproves their point, because this is more tumultuous than the fucking 70s ever was, right? Like in the 70s, even if you were a black dude, right? Like if you were a black dude, yeah, it was kind of tough, but it wasn't like being a black dude now. Like if you're a black dude now, at least if you were a black dude in the 70s, like you could maybe sneak your way into like a retail job or like a shitty office job that you were not qualified for, and get like a nice little shitty fucking house somewhere. You can't even do that now. Like it doesn't matter white, black. Really the only thing that's left is rich, right? That's what it is right now. Like the tension between the races, yeah, it's kind of flaring a little bit with these protests and shit, but it's not as intense as it was in the 70s. It's really rich versus poor. But if you were just alive in the 70s and you could do any job, you could get a fucking house, dude. And so these boomers just like joining these cults, and a lot of them abandon their children and their families to be able to join this cult. It just pissed me off so much. It was like, dude, go get a fucking job at Home Depot and buy a house, you fucking moron. It just, I was so fucking. They were like, oh, I need to discover. Like, if you're a person now, right, and you're like graduated college or whatever, and you're like, oh, I need to discover myself. It's like, okay, yeah, like you could waste 5-10 years discovering yourself, and you're still going to be in the same place as everyone else, right? Like the vast majority of people, my age, maybe a little older, are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So if you kind of drop out of general society for 5 years and you just go and you get a job after that, you're still going to be in the same place as everyone else, because everyone else over the past 5 years has been living paycheck to paycheck. But if you were in the fucking 70s, dude, you could buy a fucking house in 5 years with a shitty ass job that you weren't qualified for. And so that's my little rant about how much I hate boomers and their fucking dumbass, self-discovery, man. Oh, I can't be a Methodist anymore. Oh, they brainwashed me. I don't care if I'm brainwashed. Dude, I will suck a fucking dick if I can just be able to afford a house at any point in my life. I fucking hate boomers. Oh, I got brainwashed by the Baptists. First of all, Baptist, especially Southern Baptist, right? Like that's the main group that is Baptist. Dumbest people on earth, right? And I'm just saying that because I associate, the Baptist religion with the South. They're the dumbest people on fucking earth. If you get brainwashed by them, that's your fucking fault, all right? And that's the other thing about these cults. They're all like, oh, I'm not dumb because I joined a cult. Yes, you are. It's, oh, you don't understand. My dad died. Oh, my dad died, and so I had to join a cult. No, you didn't, dude. People's dads die all the fucking time, and none of them join cults. Stop pretending like you're not dumb. I hate people that do that, right? Like I'm a dumb person. If you're listening to this still, you've heard me stumble over my words 1,000 fucking times already in this episode, dude. Like I'm a dumb, right? Especially when it comes to talking, I'm not very good at it. And I can just admit that, right? Like if I get got by a cult, it's not a surprise to anyone. Everyone's just gonna, yeah, of course he got by a cult. He's a fucking idiot, right? And these people, they just can't accept the fact that they're dumb. And that's the most dangerous thing. A dumb person that can't accept the fact that they're dumb is more dangerous than anything else. It's more dangerous than a fucking genius who can make a bomb out of fucking screwdrivers or whatever. An idiot that just can't accept that fact and just get over it is so dangerous. It's absurdly dangerous. If you're just walking through life with the confidence and like telling everyone else that you're smart when you're actually a fucking idiot, that is very, very dangerous. And I'm watching this other documentary about this, I guess, kind of cult called the Remnant Church, and they're doing the same thing. They're like, no, I'm not dumb, all right? They just tricked me. And it's like, well, you got tricked because you were dumb. It's just connect the dots there, dumb. I know you're dumb, but I'm dumb and I've connected the dots. You know what I mean? And so all I'm saying is if any cult leader is listening to this right now, hey, I'm wide the fuck open, dude. You send me one. I almost fall for scams. I know a scam is a scam, and I'm still like, what? I owe money to PayPal? I'm still like, I need to give PayPal $1,015 iTunes cards, or else I'm gonna go to federal jail. Like, that's how dumb I am. I almost fall for the scam. I don't have a PayPal account, and I'm still like, fuck, dude, I owe PayPal money. What the fuck? Like, I'm a dumb person like that, and so I know it, right? And so because I know how dumb I am, I don't fall for the scams. But these dum-dums that just can't, admit it, it's not even a realizing thing. Like if you're dumb, I've known I've been dumb for a decent while in my life, especially socially. Socially, I'm very stupid. I think maybe that's what autism is. I have a podcast where I talk about niche subjects. I'm socially stupid. But you guys know what the fuck. I'm just very dumb, right? And so I know I'm dumb, and so I'm like, everyone's trying to scam me all that's all it is. They can see the empty look in my eyes. They can see the fucking blankness there. They're just like, yeah, we can fucking get this guy. They can like feel it through the phones, dude. The Indians and the Pakistanis and the Nigerians can like feel it through the phone, and they're like, this guy's a real fucking white bread dumb piece of shit. We can get his ass today, right now, today. Yeah, so if you're a cult leader, hit me up, and we're going to talk about cults a little bit. All right, so we're talking about Doomsday cults specifically. I talked about cults that are like messianic. This is a little different than that. They can't a messiah cult can be a doomsday cult, but a doomsday cult is a cult that believes in apocalypticism and millenarianism, I think is how you pronounce it. And apocalypticism is like kind of what it sounds like. It's the idea that an apocalypse is imminent, and there's kind of wiggle room in there, right? And so I guess Christianity is like an apocalyptic thing, but I think most of the monotheistic religions are. I think Hinduism, like they have a certain timeline where an apocalypse is going to happen, or something like that, like some sort of apocalyptic event, right? Like even if it isn't necessarily negative, it's still going to like change the world as we know it. Maybe apocalypse maybe has like a negative connotation, but denotatively it's just like a thing that's going to change the world. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't really know. And then millenarianism is the idea that a fundamental transformation in society will come. Okay, so I guess that just disproves the first point I just made, because millenarianism is just like, it's just like, yeah, the change is going to come, but most of these people obviously are kind of resistant to that change. Some of them, like Heaven's Gate, are like kind of into it, right? Like that's why they all killed themselves, because they thought there was like a spaceship behind a comet, and they thought that, you know, when they killed themselves, they would literally get turned into aliens and go up to that spaceship, which you're dumb. You're dumb if you believe that. You're a fucking idiot. I don't I don't know why people, and even like the experts, like the cult deprogramming experts were like, these people are very intelligent. No, they're not. They're stupid. It's fine. It's fine to be stupid, man. You can't change if you're stupid or not, right? But you can acknowledge it and figure out how to live a life where you're not constantly taken advantage of by people who are really not that much smarter than you, but more confident, right? Like the dude who led the Heaven's Gate cult, he went by the name Doe. Originally, he went by Bo from like Bo and Peep, like the fucking like the nursery rhyme. But he was just confident, right? He was just like a schizophrenic moron who was very, very confident in himself, as most morons and schizophrenics are. They were millenarianists, is all I'm trying to say here. And so within this, there are groups that simply believe slash prophesize a doomsday, and people who try to like cause it. And then I think there are people who like kind of try to prevent it, right? Like there are some like subsects of Christianity where they're like, there's too many gay people and God is going to bring the apocalypse. And so we just got to start praying more. We got to pray the gay away. And so, but I don't know if that's a cult. Maybe some of them are cults. Maybe some of them aren't. I really don't know what a cult is. I feel like the main difference between a cult and a religion is whether it's socially accepted or not. And we're going to get into that a little bit about like social deviancy and shit like that. But yeah, that's in a second. So people often join these groups after failing to find meaning in other movements, right? And I think I need to extend that a little bit, or just accepting that you're probably not going to find the meaning, dude, or you can just kind of shut off your brain and be like, yeah, that's the meaning. I think I talked about this in the current events episode, but sometimes you just got to shut your brain off and be like, yeah, it's just the way it is. All these people, either you're going to join a cult or you're going to become schizophrenic if you try to find out the meaning of literally everything in life. And I don't know if that's a moron thing. Maybe that's how like some of these smart people get got, because they just can't turn off their brains, right? But I feel like you have to be so smart for that to be true that you can kind of think your way out of the cult. So there we go. They're all morons again. They went from maybe there's some super smart people right back to morons, right? Because if you're super smart, you can analyze things, right? Like there are people that everyone's like, oh, that guy's so smart. And it's like, no, he's just good at remembering shit. Being actually smart, like people who are actually smart are able to take knowledge and like fucking, you know, use it to analyze a situation, right? These just, I fucking hate boomers so much. I can't get over it, dude. I am pissed at them. I hate them so much. And so many group members remain even after a failed prediction. And one reason for this is called, or one reason for this like continued faith after the failed prediction is deviancy, is a deviancy amplification spiral. So a deviancy amplification spiral is the idea that deviance behavior outside social norms, that's all deviance is, right? A lot of people think of deviancy, they, you know, think of it, you know, in terms of like crime or like sex shit. And fuck, my parents are here, so I'm gonna have to do the studio setup real quick so they don't hear me screaming about boomers. All right, we are back, and we were talking about the deviancy amplification spiral. I got the studio set up here, dude. No one can hear me. I got my Fortress of Solitude going on right here. And so a deviancy amplification spiral is the idea that deviancy, once again, behavior outside the social norm, can be and often is amplified by the social reaction to it. So, and I actually have a graphic right here that I'm going to pull up real quick. So, increased deviance, or wait, primary deviance, right? So the thing, uh, let's just for example, it's a cult, right? And they believe that a giant alien god is going to come to Earth. So that's the deviance here. It causes isolation and alienation, and that then causes an increased social reaction, which causes a secondary deviance, which causes another social reaction, which causes an increased deviance, which and obviously a spiral. So it just keeps going down and down and down until the deviance becomes like increased so much that these people are never able to rejoin society, basically. And so that's why they stay in the cult. They're so deviated from like the social norms of society that they can't rejoin it due to the intense social reaction that they faced originally for their first deviance. And so it's basically just you can kind of look at it as like a snowball, but it's just people like spurging at other people, so it's like a spurg ball. Because that's the new term for it, all right? A deviancy amplification spiral. It's a pretty sick name, all right? Because I think spiral is probably the coolest part of that name, but I think a spurg ball is a better way to put it. So basically, people just spurg out on like people in cults so much that these people are like, well, these people are fucking spurging on us, so I'm just never going to join the cult, right? Because people, or I'm never going to exit the cult because people within this cult aren't like spurging on me and freaking out on me and calling me a moron. And you just got to accept being called a moron, all right, man? I don't know what to say to you guys. And so essentially, even if the leader is wrong or crazy, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. That's just what I wrote down, and that's the best way to put it, right? Like I said, it's spurging. It's just look at it like that, just people freaking out on each other. It's better to have someone freak out on you and know how they're gonna freak out on you and know the specific like things that they're gonna do. It's like, yeah, this guy's gonna make me chop my balls off, and I just knew that was gonna happen. But I don't know what people in society are gonna make me do, right? Like, are they gonna make me talk to my parents? Right? Am I gonna have to face mommy and daddy even though I'm 28 years old? So that's basically what a deviancy amplification spiral is. It's just better to stay in than it is to leave. I just rather know what's going on and kind of have this thing, this predictable thing that just it's just better than dealing with all the bullshit. That's all it is. It's just people being like, I just don't I and that's the reason for most things in society is people just being like, yeah, I don't want to deal with the bullshit, right? It's the reason people never leave like their abusive husbands or their shitty jobs or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I just don't want to deal with the bullshit. And so that's basically how you can understand a deviancy amplification spiral. And it is a very simple concept, right? And so that's how I'm very easily able to translate it into retarded people talk. And so another reason people will stay is because of the idea of sunk cost. And so this kind of has not a ton to do with the society around them, but a little bit. So you have committed so much to this idea or thing, or economics is sunk cost. It's just like I'm just in so deep I can't get out. Basically, you've committed so much to this idea that it seems better to stick it out than to give up and basically start over, right? Because that's what you're doing if you leave a cult. Like this cult, especially with Heaven's Gate, for example, these people spent 20 years in this cult. That's as long as I've been alive. It's a very, very large portion of their life. And so they're just like, yeah, man, it's once again, this is just I just don't want to deal with all the bullshit. But instead of dealing with society's bullshit in this case, you're dealing with kind of your own bullshit, if that makes sense. It's just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna have to start over and like find a new job and like get a house. It's like, yeah, we live in like fucking tents and shit. And the leader's fucking my wife. But have you ever applied for Home Depot? That's basically what this other reason the people don't leave. It's like, yeah, dude, then I gotta go on dates and shit, and I gotta find a new one. I just rather watch him fuck my wife. Like, dude, she still gives me head and stuff. It's it's not the end of and a tent is not that bad, dude. That's how our ancestors lived. That's what the idea of sunk cost is, right? And now we're gonna talk back a little bit about the cults. That's the psychology of why these people stay in these cults. It's basically just people not wanting to deal with the bullshit outside of the cult. It's like, yeah, I already know what's going on inside this cult. I don't want to deal with the bullshit outside of it. That's the most simple way you can understand it. And so leaders often have so much sway over their followers that minor changes to the prediction, right? Like, let's say I was like, all right, the world's going to end on June 10th, right? Tomorrow the world is going to end. And then I was like, well, actually, it's June 10th, 2037. And people would just be like, I mean, this guy, he's figured it out so far. And the other thing about these cults is they do provide some positive thing to their people. We talked about this a little bit in the Messiah cults episode, but it's just they give you answers to very complicated questions. It's like, what's the meaning of life? And it's like, the meaning of life is you listen to me and you do what the fuck I say. Right? Like, that's a very simple answer to a very complicated thing that really no one else has the answer to. And so these people, they like help them out emotionally, spiritually, quote unquote, physically. A lot of these cults make a lot of money and like house their members and shit like that. Like a really intense cult to do that. Some of them are a little more like there's internet cults. If you get got by an internet cult, God, brother, come on. Like you hear about some of these internet cults. I think there was like an AI cult, like a cult started by a dude who was using AI or whatever. If you get got by that, even if the leader of the cult isn't telling you to kill yourself so you can get on an alien spaceship, you should probably just kill yourself anyway, right? Like, you should probably just end it all anyway because it's just gonna be a little bit easier. It's just like, yeah, I got by AI, and I joined a cult. I basically joined a religion started by a computer. Yeah, I should maybe just kill myself. They just start over. What's the chances of reincarnation being there, right? I feel like those chances are pretty high. I just give it another shot. You know what I mean in that department. And so, yeah. All right. And so now we're going to talk about our first cult. I was trying to see if I had anything more about Doomsday cults. And so our first cult is called Aum Shinrikyo, which you hear on that name and you're thinking Chinese. You're thinking Asian, you're thinking Japanese, Korean, one of those things. They're all the same thing, but you're thinking one of them, right? And you're like, they get got too, dude. It does make you feel a little bit better about yourself, right? It makes you feel better about because it's like if a Japanese person, which spoiler alert, this cult is a Japanese cult. If a Japanese person can get caught up in a cult, a doomsday cult specifically, it's like I wouldn't feel too bad about getting caught up in a cult anymore because those are the smartest ones. Like let's be honest here. A lot of people are like white people are the master race. I don't know if there is a master race, but the Asians are just smarter than us. I don't know why people have such a tough time. They are. I don't know what it is. They just are. And so there's a Japanese cult. And so Aum Shinrikyo, I'm just going to call it the Supreme Truth because that's what it means, is a syncretic cult slash belief system. And syncretism is when you combine ideas from different schools of thought into one thing. And so in this specific one is it was founded by Shoko Ashara. And that's not his birth name. That's I guess he changed his name, but I mean, when you're dealing with Americans, right? Like Japanese people are obviously like they saw his birth name and then they saw his new name and they're like, "Oh, that means something new. That's a very poignant. That's very magical." But I'm a dumb American and I'm like, yeah, it's all it's all great to me. It's all just dumb Chinese names. And so he did change his name and this is his new name. I'm just gonna call him Shoka. He combined ideas from early Indian slash Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, yoga, and Nostradamus, who, if you don't know, Nostradamus is like a dude who predicted a bunch of shit. And so that's a good call right there, right? I feel like these are all solid ones to pull from. Like if you pulled from like I don't know, what's like just an absolutely bullshit religion. Like if you were like pulled from Mormonism or something, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? That's a dumb one to pull from. But this guy's got some solid picks in here. I mean, Buddhism, I think Buddhism, Christianity, and Hinduism, that those guys are probably all in the top five. So these are some pretty solid pulls here. And then yoga, I don't know, that's just Hinduism, right? That's just dumb Indian shit that white people look at and they're like, wow, it's so interesting. No, it's just stretching. All right. That's all yoga is. No, I go to Bikram yoga where we stretch in the hot. It's the hot and we stretch in it. So yoga's just dumb Indian shit. And then Nostradamus, once again, a pretty good poll there. He did predict a lot of shit, but a lot of these people that especially like these psychics or whatever, like the people who read the crystal ball and predict your future or whatever. I don't know about Nostradamus. I do think he got like some good polls in there, but I think he just generally predicted some shit like humans will be able to fly one day, and it's like I feel like that's a good call right there because when did Nostradamus live? I'm gonna look this up. My guess is like the 1400s, and in the 1400s we were already getting the whole flying thing started. You know what I mean? So he was French. Yeah, he lived in the early to late He lived from 1503 to 1566. And so yeah, I feel like a lot of those polls are just like general. Like I'll do one right now. I'll do a Nostradamus type poll. I don't know what specific ones he made, but I do feel like he had some generalizations in there. I will make a prediction that in 10,000 years from now, the United States will not be a country. I know, guys, stop freaking out. The sun's gonna explode by then, so there's no reason to freak out. But that's that's my Nostradamus prediction right there. And so the group worshipped the Hindu god Shiva and held Christian millennian millennialist beliefs. And millennialism, remember, is the idea that there's going to be some giant radical change in society. And the god Shiva, Hinduism has they've got like a few different gods. I think there's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I think those are the big three right there. And so this is once again a pretty solid poll. Let's look up Shiva. I think Shiva might be a hot chick if I remember correctly. And so I feel like that's another thing you got to do if you have. Oh no, it's a dude, but he is kind of hot. I do have to admit, he looks like he works out. He's got some decent sized biceps. He's got pretty good. His delts are big, not super well defined, but yeah, he's a good looking dude. And that's another thing. Like if you're gonna start a cult, I almost did this as to like this episode as like how to start a cult. You got to have like a hot something that's attractive, right? Like Hitler. The reason so many people got on Hitler's side is like, okay, we're gonna kill all the Jews, and then we're all gonna be 6 foot tall, blonde with blue eyes, right? Like that's how Hitler got the people to listen to him. You gotta have something like that, right? Like in this case, it's just kind of like a hot person. If you got like a hot chick, like if you have a very hot girlfriend who's also very stupid, you can kind of use her as like the figurehead of your church. And the other cult that I was talking about, the documentary that I'm watching is called the Remnant Church that I talked about. That lady originally started out by she basically combined weight loss with God. And so that's how she got people to listen to her. And that's an attractive idea, especially in the South where this church was started, where everyone's a fat fucking moron. So good place. If you want to start like a weight loss cult, start it in the South where everyone's dumb and fat. And that's an attractive idea right there. And so that's what you got to have. You got to have some sort of attractive idea to get people. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, I have the answers to life. Sometimes it can just be, you want to lose a couple pounds, get a fat ass, and then go get railed by that Italian waitress you think is hot. Or waiter, sorry. Or wait, I don't know what you're into, right? I'm assuming everyone that listens to this is a gay man. You want to go get railed by that guy? Join my cult. And so I feel like that's a thing you gotta have. Like you look at a lot of these cults, they all have some sort of attractive. Some of them are like, yeah, I have all the big answers to life. Some of them are just like, you're gonna get a big fat ass, some big old titties, and your life is gonna rule. And so you just gotta have something like that going on. And so the leader predicted that a nuclear war. What the fuck? So an apocalypse that is either like a nuclear war or just a regular war would happen because of the Jews, and only his followers would survive. And I don't know if this is where the idea of Jewish space lasers come from, but he did believe in Jewish space lasers. He had the Jewish space lasers on the mind, which they do have. The Jews do have like some magical like laser system that can shoot down missiles or something, which probably doesn't work. Like the Jews always talk about, or not the Jews. Sorry, Israel. Israel always talks about like the Iron Dome or whatever. The Iron Dome doesn't work against like actual rockets. It works against like fireworks that like it works against bottle rockets that Palestinian teenagers are shooting at you. It doesn't work against like actual fucking missiles and shit. But I don't know. The Jews almost have the space lasers by now. And so Shoke, whatever, thought he was Jesus. And this is a little later on. I think originally he was just like, there's going to be the Jewish space lasers. They're going to come down and only we're going to survive. So he thought he was Jesus and that the United States was the beast from the book of Revelations. And so the beast, I don't really know. I think I did read the entire book of Revelations was when I was in like 5th grade or something like that. But when you're in 5th grade, dude, pretty much everything is nonsense to you, right? Unless it's explained in the most clear way possible. You basically, until you're, I'd say even like early high school, you need like puppets to explain everything to you. You need like Elmo to come out and be like, the Pythagorean theorem. But I don't really remember what the beast does. I'll look it up real quick. Maybe it's just like the devil or something. But yeah, I don't know. He thought the beast was the United States, though. The book of Revelations. Oh my fucking god. So Oh my fucking. Okay, so the beast is the Antichrist, basically. That's what I'm looking at right here. So it's maybe like the devil incarnate. Okay, Satan. So he thought the United States was Satan, which, I mean, this was in like, I think like in the 90s, maybe. The 90s or like the 80s or something like that. So that kind of then was an original take. But now it's like every white girl you meet with green hair is like, the United States is literally Satan. You don't understand. China's good, but the United States is literally Satan. So, I guess kind of an original take by him then, but just putting it in like the historical context of what we know now, and like all these fucking gay Starbucks baristas being like, no, you don't understand. The United States and Donald Trump are Satan. They're Hitler and Satan at the same time. But I'm sure then it was somewhat of an original take. Even then though, like the communists, they were getting around and being like, America is devil. No, America no good. So maybe it wasn't the most original take then. But maybe in Japan it was, because Japan, even though we nuked them, they were still like, yeah, we had that one coming. Like that's the thing about the Japanese that I think a lot of people like, is that, especially in all things, but especially in like the context of like the fact that we nuked two of their cities and killed like 200,000 people, they were like, yeah, we had that one coming. And I feel like that's why so many people fuck with Japan heavy. It's just that they're just like very self-aware. They were just like, yeah, dude. It's like if you're drunk or whatever and you're like calling a dude a pussy and you get knocked out and the next day you wake up and you're like, why did I call that dude a pussy? Dude, I'm such an asshole. That's what Japan was doing. They were like, why the fuck did we kill 37 million Chinese dudes? After that nuke was like just a sock to the face, just one of those punches to the face where your face feels numb and then it starts swelling. Like that's what we did to Japan, and they were like, "God damn it, dude, we were our bad, dude. Sorry, hey, our bad. You killed 200,000 people, but we killed like 40 million, so not the end of the world. We tortured them to death. At least you guys killed our guys quickly, so we're not too mad about it." But anyway, in 1995, the group released sarin gas into the subways of Tokyo to destabilize Japan so that they could take power and hasten the apocalypse. So, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of these apocalyptic cults, they're like, we need to get involved in the apocalypse. Some of these Christian groups, like I said, do, but most of them are just like, yeah, it's gonna come when it comes, dude. God, he fucking knows everything, all right? We know nothing. We're just little dumb peons. You think think a bunch of hicks praying in a West Virginia church for people to stop being gay is gonna stop the, but God's gonna do what he wants, all right? So, but these guys, they were getting out there. They were like, "We need the apocalypse," and I don't know. Maybe if like The Walking Dead was around then, or some one of like those sick things, like the Book of Eli or whatever. Maybe if that movie came out then I could maybe understand it a little, because like those things make the apocalypse look very sick, right? Like if you've never seen the Book of Eli, it's a fucking amazing movie. It's got Denzel and Mila Kunis in it. It's fucking fire. Maybe it's Christian Bale. I can't really remember it, but it has a lot of good famous people in it. But basically, the thing is, Eli, he's this dude with a Bible, right? And I think he walks around with like a fucking sword or something, right? And it's Denzel. So it's Denzel wearing fucking shades in an apocalyptic wasteland with a Bible and a sword, walking around with Mila Kunis. And he's like, Mila Kunis is like kind of fucking with him. She's like kind of looks at him as like a father figure, but that she also kind of wants to fuck. And he's like, no, dude, I'm a man of God. I'm not gonna fuck you, Mila Kunis, all right? And he like saves her from being raped or something like that. Like it's Denzel being the sickest dude possible, and Mila Kunis being a little whore that follows him around. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. But if you've never seen it, I'm gonna spoil it real quick. So they're traveling across the country, right? They're trying to get to San Francisco, and he has the Bible with him the entire time. He's like, we need to go to San Francisco. And at this time, the apocalypse, it's been going on for a little bit, right? Like, I think Denzel was probably born, and this is like 40-year-old Denzel. So he was born around like the time the apocalypse happened, right? Like, that's why he's blind, because like the apocalypse happened, and I don't know if it was a nuke or like some fucking space laser, if the Jews finally revealed their secret technology that we all know they have, and they drop the space laser on him, but he's like blind, and he has the Bible and the sword, and Mila Kunis like clutching his leg. God, it's such a fucking good movie. And spoiler alert here, and they finally get to San Francisco after like fighting cannibals and shit. It's so fucking good. And they get to San Francisco, and they have the Bible. They bring the Bible to like this archive, right? And you think Denzel is just gonna give the guy the book to be like, Here you go. Here's the Bible. Fucking translate that shit, write it down 1,000 times so that the future generations know about the Bible. He opens up the Bible, right? And remember, Denzel, fuck, I did kind of spoil it already. Denzel is blind. Watch the movie. But even if you're hearing the shitty explanation, watch the movie. But and he rips open the Bible, and we don't know he's blind at this point. And he starts fucking, it's the Bible's in Braille, and he doesn't even read the Braille. He just like sits down on this chair and starts reciting the Bible to this guy. It's the fucking sickest thing ever. And so that's all just to say the apocalypse could be pretty sick, but those movies didn't come out around this time. They were just trying to cause the apocalypse to cause it, which I do have to kind of give them credit for because they kind of predicted it a little bit, being like, dude, the apocalypse is going to be so fucking sick. So you do got to give the Japs a little bit of credit there. I don't often give them credit, but I do give them credit right there because this guy was like, the apocalypse is going to be fucking sick. And you might have heard about these attacks before, right? Like, they weren't that bad. I think like 4 people died, 54 were severely injured, and then like I think they said 4,000 were like directly affected by it and went to the hospital, but they think it was as many as 4 million. And you got to remember, Tokyo, Japan is like the biggest metropolis in the world. It's the most expansive. It's fucking huge. And so you probably got a few more than 4 million just like affected by it, right? Like, and we're talking headaches, we're talking minor injuries like watery eyes and shit. I feel like he probably got more than 4 million. Like 30 million people live in Tokyo. And this was like a coordinated attack across like the subway stations. And Tokyo's not like America where everyone's driving their, 8,000-pound Chevy F-1500 to the fucking, office that they work at. Like everyone's taking the subway in Tokyo. And so you do got to think that probably my guess would be more than 4 million. I think he might have got 10, but we're talking about headaches, watery eyes, some bullshit like that. And so they did this attack. And then after the attacks, the police found explosives, chemical and biological weapons, as well as a MI MI-17 Russian military helicopter. And this helicopter, you're maybe thinking like an Apache attack helicopter. It can be equipped with missiles and shit, but it's mostly a personnel carrier. And so this is probably something they got like as the Soviet Union was collapsing. Because when the Soviet Union was collapsing, and this is a fun story, there's this thing called Operation Odessa about this dude who wanted to buy a submarine so that he could smuggle cocaine from Colombia to America. And he was buying the submarine from the Soviets like as the Soviet Union was like splintering and turning into Russia and Kazakhstan and all those different countries. And when he was talking to the Soviet dude that he was buying this fucking submarine from, the dude was like, "Do you want the nukes with it or not?" Which is just so fucking sick. But these guys, they did kind of get the short end of the stick because if some retarded dude from America, the dude's name was like, I think his name was literally Tarzan. This dude who was buying the submarine to smuggle the cocaine from Colombia to America, his name was like Tarzan or something. If that guy can get nukes and you're like a doomsday cult and all you get is like a personnel carrier helicopter, that is kind of a miscall by you. These people, they got some very sick shit and then some very gay shit. And so 7 people, including the leader, were executed for the attacks, and the group still exists today. But I think they changed their name. They changed their name to like some other shit, and I'm sure they're still doing like Bikram yoga or some. I'm sure there's a bunch of white women joined it because white women really love murder. Maybe it's not just a white women thing, but like Ted Bundy married a bitch in jail. Like for some reason, they love men who do horrific things, which explained why Hitler got that absolute baddie, dude. Let's look up Ava Braun real quick. For some reason, and it's not just like a power thing, right? Because Ted Bundy, yeah, she's not the baddest bitch. Oh, I'm looking at Ava Braun right now. I am none too pleased, dude. She died at 33. She looks like she's 53, dude. God damn, Hitler probably could have got like the finest. Oh, but she do got the yams, dude. She do got the. She's got the heavies on her, dude. She's got the German beer steins on those things. That thing could feed a family of 12. She got the titties on her. Oh my god, and they're kind of like that. They're obviously natural too, because she killed herself with Hitler in 1945. So these are some natural titties. They got a bit of sagginess to them, but hey, I'm not complaining. I can kind of see where he's coming from a little bit. Maybe that first picture I saw was like just some Jewish propaganda where they were trying to make her look ugly. And then here we go. We have Ava Braun blackface photo reveals her love of Jewish films. This is from the forward. I've never heard of the forward before. How the fuck did the Jews invent blackface, dude? Did they try to put that one on the whites too? They're always did. Sneaky, sneaky. Anti-Semitism decoded newsletter. What the fuck? Hitler's girlfriend apparently loved a film focused on the struggle to maintain Jewish tradition. What the fuck does that, what does that have to do with blackface? All right, guys. Ava Braun married Hitler. She's got some big old titties. You think she'd rule, right? You think every man would love her. Turns out she did blackface. Disappointed. And I could look it up right now. I'm pretty sure Hitler's never done blackface. So that, case closed on that one. Ava Braun is worse than Adolf Hitler. All right. And so we finished with our first Doomsday cult. They tried to cause the Doomsday by releasing a bunch of gas into the subway of Tokyo. Like, they thought that was going to, like, destabilize the country and the police were going to be freaking the fuck out. And when the police were freaking the fuck out, they could, like, attack them and take over Japan, which is, like, that would, like, kind of stop the Doomsday in a way. unless you're like, all right, we're gonna attack America now. But the Japanese, like I said, they loved America. They were like, no, we're not. Especially in the 90s, dude. In the 90s, they loved the fuck out of America. They weren't gonna attack us for no reason. And so this was kind of a dumb plan by this guy. And this guy did think he was Jesus for a little bit, but hey, I don't know. Maybe Jesus could be Japanese. I don't know where he's gonna come back. My prediction, as to where Jesus is going to come back. And these are the most religious people. I think he's going to come back as a 600-pound black woman in Mississippi. That's my guess. And no one's going to listen to him because no one listens to black women. And so now we got our next group. Our next group is called the People's Temple. You guys might have heard about this one. When I start talking about it, you'll know you definitely have heard of it. So Jim Jones, that's what his thing was. Everyone knows Jonestown, but you don't know about the People's Temple. So he was a preacher whose teachings were meant as a direct counter towards modern Christianity. And so Jones taught that the Bible had always been like literally in every instance, literally every time throughout history that the Bible has been used, it was used to oppress blacks and women. Specifically, I think were the two groups, are just like ethnic minorities in general, which is the most insane thing on earth. The most insane thing I've ever heard. Literally the oldest Christian tradition in the world that is in Africa. So this guy was kind of a moron. And so that's, if you've heard of Jonestown, if you don't know, I'm going to spoil it. 900 people ended up killing themselves. And once again, this is a group of morons. I know people like to be like, oh, no, there were smart people in there. If you thought about it critically, even though this was, I think it was the 70s or the 80s when they all killed themselves, if you thought about it critically for more than a few seconds or like open an encyclopedia, you would realize that what he was saying was complete bullshit and didn't make any sense at all. This guy, once again, in the fucking other guy, the Japanese guy, the Chinese, it's just so funny calling all Asians Chinese. But he was a fucking moron too. Most of these people are. But, and so it was a direct counter, and that he called like the God, the Western, the white Christian God as he viewed it, he called it Sky God. And so he was like, yeah, that's not God, all right? You guys got to understand God a little more. And he called him Sky God because the way he preached about God was like God is on earth, is basically the idea that he preached. And so apostolic socialism was the... I'm so bad at writing. So was Jones and the group's like main belief system. And so what this is, you hear socialism in there, and you can kind of understand where like the communists, the Red Panic, the Red Scare came from. So it is the idea that essentially it's biblical communism is the idea. Like, I think he quoted a lot of like the shit about the apostles where like they gave up all their earthly possessions and they shared all their shit with each other, which, maybe this is just my Western capitalist programming speaking. It is a little bit gay, dude. It's like, yeah, I get it. You got to talk about God, spread the message, make sure everyone believes in him and knows what the fuck is going on. Believes in Jesus, the white Jesus, the one true God. But you don't got to give up all your possessions to do that. Keep the shit, dude. Keep the phone a little bit. Go on X videos every once in a while. Stop being such a pussy about shit, right? I just hate communism. And so Jones believed that this was the only moral economic system. I think specifically he was big into socialism, but he believed that this specific type of collectivism, communism, was the one true economic system that would make sure everyone had their fair share under it. And I don't know if you guys know a lot about the history of communism. No one got their fair share. Literally everyone either got everything or nothing. Swing and a miss by them. And we're talking about a group of people. He made 900 people kill themselves, so wasn't his first swing and a miss, won't be his last. And so, yeah, Jones believed that socialism was the truth and that Christianity was the road to it. And he has some quote. I wish I could have it pulled up, but his quote was basically, if people are going to continue to take the opiate that is, the drug that is religion, we can at least use that as an avenue to deliver them to the truth. So he was really more of like a socialist than he was a Christian. Like he was like, yeah, I don't really believe in Christianity and all that bullshit. I'm just big into socialism. I just need these people to understand what socialism is, get them to agree to it. We're going to go start our little fucking town somewhere, our town of like 10,000 people, and that'll be the answer to all of life's problems. But it wasn't 10,000, it was maybe 1,000. So Jones taught that fuck. I don't even know what that said. Okay, so Jones taught that the US slash the world was headed for a nuclear slash race war. And that's one of those things where it's like, if the world is headed towards a race war, I'm gonna join up with the whites, dude. Why would I join your shitty little fucking multi-racial, ethnically diverse cult when I can join the people that have all the nukes? Right? I don't. Africa. I think South Africa maybe has a couple of nukes, and then I'm sure like Algeria or Libya or one of those people up in the north has a few. But I'm joining the whites in this case. We got the Russians and the French and the British and more importantly, the Americans on our side. We got all the fucking between America and Russia, we have all the fucking nukes. And so I don't know why the fuck you would join this cult. Like if I really believed that a fucking race war was gonna pop off, I wouldn't be like, oh, I need to go join up with the blacks. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not racist, but I'm not a fucking idiot either. Right? I'm not a fucking moron. I'm not gonna go join up with the blacks so that I don't know I can look cool. I'm gonna join up with the people, the white ones that have all the weapons that are gonna win the war. And so I don't know how he got anyone to join his cult. And so capitalism, uh, and its tendrils. I don't know why I wrote tendrils. I was trying to be all poetic and shit, which are like the CIA, the FBI, basically just any entity that is related to capitalism, were seen as existential threats and were used to keep people in the group. So they'd be like, yeah, if you don't stay in the group, then the CIA is going to kill you. Is basically just the idea there. And that just goes to show that maybe not everyone in the group was a moron, but they were all schizophrenic. And so our next idea here. And so eventually the group moved to Jonestown, Guyana to be safe from these forces. They were like, fuck, dude, Guyana, it's just a pure. And the Guyanas, if you don't know, it's Suriname, Guyana, and then French Guyana, which is a colony of France currently that still exists somehow. they're they're in South America, but they're not like other countries in South. They're like weird. I think they're like black Hindu country. They're very unusual. And I don't think they speak a whole lot of Spanish. I think they speak like the native language there, but there's like I think specifically Guyana, if I'm remembering correctly, is like a majority black country, and it's like only the coasts of these countries are populated because like everything on the interior, like anything past the coast, basically is the Amazon rainforest. And I think they probably went a little bit inland. I'll look it up on a map real quick. I think they were in the middle of the forest because I've seen pictures. A lot of people have seen the pictures too of the fucking like when they all killed themselves, and it does look like they're in the middle of the forest, but they might have been. Oh no, they were on the coast. And I think yeah, the funny thing about the country of Guyana, and I knew this already, all right guys, I'm a fucking genius. I didn't even have to look at the map. The capital of the country is called Georgetown. And you'd think after that one they would change their name just so there was no mix up, but the fucking Guyanese were just like, yeah, all these dumb, rich American privileged ass motherfuckers came down here and killed themselves. We're not gonna change our name. The name of our capital has nothing to do with the fact that Americans are morons. And so they went down there and they went to the cult. Uh, and there, Jones made members perform loyalty tests by making them drink what they thought was poison. He'd be like, "Is this It's a Schrodinger's. It's a Schrodinger's Jonestown type. It's a Schrodinger's Kool Aid." Right, and this is where the term "drinking the Kool Aid" comes from. It's like, is it poison? Is it not poison? We'll never know. Which I just want to talk about Schrodinger's cat for a second. I don't know if you guys know what this is. It's basically like I don't know what it's like a thought experiment, I think is what they call it, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Every thought is an experiment, right? Like every thought is you're trying to find like some truth in it. Right? So literally every thought is an experiment. But anyway, it's like a thought experiment. And it's like you give a cat some poison and you put it in a box and it's like, is the cat alive or is it dead? And it's just a very stupid question, right? Because it's like, we can try this out in real life and figure it out without ever opening the box, right? It's the idea that if you don't open the box, you'll never know if the cat is alive or dead. And it's like, well, there's some pretty easy ways to figure this out, right? Like, what kind of poison did you give it? How much poison did you give it? How much does the cat weigh? How much poison does it take to kill the cat? Right? Or very simply, you can be like a kid on Christmas and just shake the box, and if you hear the cat screaming in there, then you gave it too much poison and it died. And so I just wanted to rant about how dumb that fucking, thought experiment or whatever they call it is. All right. And now we're getting to the big bang, dude. The big thing that happened here. So on November 18th, 1978, 900 people committed revolutionary suicide to defy a world that could not be saved. And this is just some absolute bitch shit, dude. Fucking Jim Jones just took his ball and went home. If you really believe socialism is the answer, and it's going to cure the world of all its evils or whatever dumb thought you have, at least stick by it and try to help people out. This is, if you really think you have all the answers to life and that you can really help everyone live like a happy, satisfied life, like I said, it's taking your ball and it's going home. It's killing 900 people in a rainforest compound in Guyana. It's it's the same thing. And to be fair to Jim, he did go down with him, I'm pretty sure. Let me look up his death date real quick, but I'm pretty sure he went down with him. And remember, Jim Jones was like a racial equality guy. Yeah, he did go down with him. So a bit of shout out to him. You know what I mean? He was from Crete, Indiana, which I'm not going to get into that. But like American towns that are named like Paris or whatever are like the dumbest shit on earth. But anyway, uh, it's just so stupid, right? And you got to remember, he was like racial equality, and so he had a ton of black people in his cult, and he was like, how do I like get these black people to drink this thing without question? Give them Kool-Aid. And so Jim Jones, as much as he pretended to be like an anti-racist fucking white guy or whatever, which is the most annoying thing on earth, he was very racist because he used Kool-Aid to kill black people. Right? Like that's like using mayonnaise to kill white people. It's just racism. So that's all I've got for this episode, dude. In short, if you join a cult, you're a moron. Uh, yeah, just pick something at random and just kind of go with it. If people start like cutting their balls off or whatever, or, I don't know, shaving their head or talking about aliens, basically, if you're in a religious group with a bunch of white people and they start acting like black people church, right? Like they're running around hooting and hollering, being like, "I'm getting possessed by the devil," you're in a cult, right? And people are gonna be like, "Well, why then?" If a black person does the same thing, are they not in a cult? Because they're better than everyone else. All right, is that what you wanted to hear? I trust them more when it comes to religion. So, whatever, suck my dick. Is that racism? Sure, but is it positive racism? If you're black, yeah. Right, and they don't get a whole ton of that. The positive racism around the blacks is like they have big dicks and they're athletic, which are the most meaningless things on earth. The most meaningless things on earth. So I'm giving them a little bit of credit here by being like, yeah, I feel like they know a little bit more, as to what's going on in religion. And this is one case of the blacks doing bad when it comes to religion. But most of the other times, even with the voodoo shit a little bit, I'm like, yeah, but is it that bad because they're black? And I feel like they just know what's going on there. All right. That's all I've got for this episode, guys. I hope you have a good day, good week, good year, good summer. I hope if you have to do some yard work with your grandpa that it's not too boring. All right. I'll see you guys. I think I'm going to continue doing like the random episodes that I've been doing, like the porn raking one that I did last week. I think I'm going to keep doing that. And so I'll probably see you guys on Wednesday and then on Thursday again for the current events. All right, guys. Peace out.